Hello everybody, Bart here, and I just want to have a quick talk to you. Do you ever find yourself fatigued or weak or tired a lot? You got a lot of brain fog going on. You've been diagnosed with anemia. You've got a whole bunch of problems. Well, then you're a vegan. No, just kidding. Most likely you're B12 deficient, and you didn't even realize it. Like you run down, you go to see the doctor. The doctor does the typical CBC, and in that CBC may have the B12 serum levels, and it comes up and says no, that's fine. So he ignores it. Now, a B12 deficient left untreated over long periods of time becomes irreversible, and the damage is quite harsh. Quite often, Parkinson's disease is mimicked by a B12 deficient. So just keep that in mind. That's how severe things can get with a B12 deficiency. So you're saying to me, well, I'm pretty smart, but I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, I do supplement, and that's great. At least you're aware that you cannot get the B12 unless you supplement. But let's have a look at the pathway of the B12, because the B12 vitamin is the most complex vitamin that the body has to break down and utilize. So I'll give you a real quick rundown on how it works. So let's say you do eat liver or beef and you eat it and it goes into your stomach. The cardiac sphincter closes and hydrochloric acid immediately starts to break down this food. Now, while this is happening, an enzyme called pepsin is released, and its job is to separate the B12 from the beef itself. While this is happening, there's two more enzymes being released. One's called the R binders, and another one's called the pancreatic proteases. So as the B12 is being separated, the R binders and the pancreatic proteases can then carry it all the way through the small intestine. Now, while all that was going on, another thing was being made was called the intrinsic factor. Now, it was made immediately and was transferred all the way to the ileum, which is the very last section of your small intestine, and it sits there and waits for the B12 to arrive. Now, once the pancreatic proteases and the R binders do deliver it to the ileum, together with the intrinsic factor and the cells in the small intestine, it then gets absorbed into the blood. But wait, that's not the end of it. Now, a protein called transcobalin will take that B12 and then give it to all the cells that need it, and then every cell that doesn't need it, or whatever's left over, goes to the liver, where the liver can utilize it. Now, if the liver can't utilize it, being a water soluble, it will then excrete it out through the kidney. So as you can see, it's a very complex pathway for B12. Now, if any of that thing or any of that pathway is broken, you cannot absorb B12. It's impossible to do. Or you may even have a genetic disorder where you physically can't make the intrinsic factor. So keep that in mind as well. It's called pernicious anemia, I think, and it's this where through genetics you cannot make the intrinsic factor. So that's a genetic disorder. But we could be on antacids. We could have irritable bowel, celiac disease, calcium channel blockers, and all of these will stop the production or makes the body use B12. So keep that in mind. But if you are interested and you want to know if you are B12, you say to me, I'm always fatigued, I'm always weak. If you do go to the doctor, ask for a test called methylmalonic acid. So it's urinary MMA test, and that's a very definitive test to see that you are B12 deficient. And if you are, he most likely will give you the injection, because supplementation is very, very poor. So if you're taking a standard B12 capsule, which is about 500 micrograms, only about 10 to 20% of that actually is absorbed into the system. So if you have a deficiency, you need way more. You need thousands. So he's most likely going to give you injections of 1,000 micrograms. Now, he may start off by doing this once a week and then once a month, and then he'll switch over to what we call methyl B12 lozenges. And that's another way of bringing it in, because methyl B12 lozenges, they're 5,000 micrograms. They go sublingually into your tongue, and the absorption is not too bad. So keep it in mind. You may be B12 deficient, you're just not aware of it. Who knows? Just have a quick test, and you may feel top, and as you're a vegan, you probably get all your energy back. All right, thanks for watching.